when one opens the Bible, and I think that's where it all starts, right in Genesis, when God created Adam and Eve. The the primary aim for creating humanity was to have a relationship with God.
True.
And that we find in the first 3 chapters of the book of Genesis. When Eve falls, or when Adam and Eve falls, let me not blame Eve, it's Women's Month. I might just get into trouble. When Adam and Eve fell, excuse me, God came looking for them. And the whole Genesis narrative, in my understanding, is of a God that's looking to have a relationship with the humans that he created. And so when it comes to the born again experience, the primary aim of the gospel message and the born again experience is to get humanity back into relationship with God. South Africa, for all intents and purposes, remain a third world country. Not third world in terms of our infrastructure, but third world in terms of the economy.
Yes.
And so those economics makes it challenging for us. The exchange rates that we're dealing with, it's a challenge for us. You're dealing effectively with, if you look at the dollar rand exchange, you're dealing with an exchange rate of effectively 18 to 1. So it's not a cheap thing.
Oh.
It's costly.
Yeah.
And I think for most people, that in itself is a challenge. Sponsorships is not easy to get. People are not that keen on investing in religious events, much less Christian events. What does that mean? It simply means that we are a member of a Christian denomination. It doesn't necessarily mean that we Bazalwan.
You know? Thank you for that.
We are just members of a Christian denomination. Yes, we believe in God. Yes, we confess Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior, but we're unfortunately not all sanctified, spirit-filled, teetotaling Sunday Christian worshippers. We are normal people. That's the harsh reality of what we have. And if you have a need and you have money in your pocket and you come to this venue,
would it affect the reviews? Because people will be saying, Radio Pulpit organized an event, and this is what people were doing, drinking and all that.
Well, all I can say is Radio Pulpit's not going to sell liquor.
Yet another episode of the Dawning Experience with Chami Moroke. Bringing you another amazing guest. And I've got Reverend Hermy Damons. And we'll be talking about the 30 years of worship event. I want to understand this milestone. Imagine 30 years, guys. But he's here to tell us more about it. But before that, let me just remind you that you can just go to YouTube. It's Dawning Experience with Chami Moroke. Please subscribe, share, like, comment, and do not forget Instagram. It's called @Dawning Experience. Pastor, how are you? Is it Pastor or Rev? How do we say these things?
It's formerly Reverend Hermy Damons.
Thank you.
But Pastor is fine.
Yeah, so I
always say you can call me whatever you want to, just don't call me late for dinner and don't call me after 12 at night.
True. How are you, Rev?
I'm very well, thank you, Chami.
Welcome to the Dawning Experience.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So with Dawning Experience, we've got this tradition of wanting the guest to just tell us about himself. Who is Rev Hermy Damons?
I am a husband of one wife.
No polygamy.
None whatsoever. Father of two handsome young men. I've been in ministry for nearly 30 years now. I formerly used to be an associate pastor at Rhema down the road from here.
Wow.
I'm currently the chairperson of Radio Pulpit. And so my responsibility primarily is just to give executive guidance and leadership along with the board and the other directors of Radio Pulpit to this 43-year-old ministry. Wow. That's effectively what Radio Pulpit is all about, being the oldest Christian radio station in South Africa before radio became popular,
Yes.
before Christian radio became popular and community radio became popular. Radio Pulpit was there as
It
one.
opened doors for other
Yeah,
stations, Christian
indeed,
stations.
indeed, and so we're one of the pioneers of Christian radio in South Africa.
Wow. So now I want to know where Dermy Damons grew up. I excluded the Rev part because I want you to take me
No,
back.
you're most welcome.
Yes.
So Hermy, Hermy formerly hails from Port Elizabeth, Gqeberha.
Yeah.
I was born and raised in Port Elizabeth, and in around 1990 I moved to Joburg, and this is where I started ministry as well. Attended college at Rhema in 1996, 97, and then went back again for another year in 2000. But my formative years were primarily Port Elizabeth.
Wow.
Yeah.
As you're talking about being a pastor, how do you know that, I need to take or accept the calling of being a pastor? When did you realize that it's time for me to go to school?
That's a fascinating question. And I don't know if I have a simple answer to it.
There's never a simple answer, I've noticed.
But I will try.
Yeah.
When I committed my life to the Lord in around 1987, I kind of felt a prompting that that I believe God has called me to ministry. And it also came through prophetic words that were given to me as well. A number of prophetic words led me on this journey. In particular, I remember sitting in a church in Secunda.
Yes.
In the early 90s, and somebody said to me, in fact, it was a lady just sitting next to me in church, and she just turned to me and just said to me, I just have a prompting from the Lord to tell you that you're going to full-time ministry. And it just resonated with my heart at the time, because I knew when I left Port Elizabeth in 1990, I think it was end of 89, beginning of 1990, I had a sense that the Lord is calling me to Johannesburg to do what I wasn't too sure about.
Yes.
And the process unfolded as I came just in obedience, just left PE, came up to the old, what is now Mpumalanga, settled in Secunda for a number of years.
Yes.
Got involved in church there, just normal church stuff. And until this lady then said to me one day, the Lord said to me, you need to come to, that you're going to full-time ministry. And then some time later, she said to me, there's a guy that I believe you're going to work with. And she mentioned this gentleman. And then the company that I was working for was a mining company. Then offered me the opportunity to come and work from the head office here in Joburg. And I came to Joburg proper. Yes. And looked for a church and walked into Rhema one day. I just felt prompted to go to Rhema one Sunday morning, and lo and behold, there the gentleman was preaching that she said to me that I need to work with. And I went up to him and I said to him, I believe that the Lord has called me to come and work with you. And he said, I don't do that kind of thing anymore. He had a ministry on his own previously, and he had left that ministry and joined Rhema. Yes. His ministry being incorporated into Rhema. And I said, well, I don't know. That's what I felt. Long story short, a little while later, I found myself at Rhema. Wow. And this gentleman became my colleague. Wow. And that's when I realized that was what the prophecy was all about, is that I was going to be working alongside him, but not necessarily for him or directly with him. Yes. But it's really just a process. It's not something that I could say, It's a short run to
You just wake up and
no,
no.
no. It's a process. It's a process of obedience,
Mhm,
hearing or sensing God's direction,
mhm.
and so once you follow that in obedience,
Mhm.
you experience the unfolding of God's plan for your life.
Oh, that's so amazing. You know, the fact that I've got a reverend in the house, it makes it easier for me to have so many questions.
You're most welcome.
You know, as someone who deals with people who have to accept Christ as their Lord and Savior, a lot of people don't understand that process and that journey. Can you please explain it to us?
Again, a fascinating question. uh, you should have warned me beforehand so I could study up and make sure that I come with all the deep theological
You are a
answers.
soldier, you're always ready.
So I think when one opens the Bible, uh, and I think that's where it all starts,
Mhm,
right in Genesis, when God created Adam and Eve.
mm,
The the primary aim for creating humanity was to have a relationship with God.
true.
And that we find in the first three chapters of the book of Genesis.
Mhm.
When Eve falls, or when Adam and Eve falls, let me not blame Eve, it's Women's Month. I might just get into trouble. When
Yes.
Adam and Eve fell,
Mhm,
excuse me, God came looking for them.
mhm,
And the whole Genesis narrative, in my understanding, is of a God that's looking to have a relationship with the humans that he created.
mhm.
And so when it comes to the born again experience, the primary aim of the gospel message and the born again experience is to get humanity back into relationship with God.
Wow.
And I think for me that's
Mm,
the simplest explanation of the gospel. What is the
mhm.
gospel? What is the primary aim of evangelism? Is to get humanity back into God.
Oh,
And once we have a relationship with God, everything else is meant to work out from there. Unfortunately, the gospel gets cluttered with a lot of different doctrinal issues.
mhm.
But the simplest explanation of what the gospel is all about is about getting man back into relationship with God.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed, because the world is lost. We're just moving around, you know. So if we come together and accept Him, we unite.
That's what it's all about. That's what it's all
Yeah.
about. I think in the end, when it's all said and done,
Mhm.
and this world is rolled up like a piece of cloth,
Yes.
everything falls away. So
Mhm.
all of the denominations, all of the church brands, all of the names, everything falls away. And the
Oh.
only thing that remains would be our relationship with God.
Mhm.
And I think that should be the primary purpose
Purpose,
of
indeed.
all of ministry, is to get us back into relationship with God
Mhm.
and just to continue to strengthen that relationship. So discipleship is about
True.
strengthening the relationship, helping you understand more about God,
Mhm.
helping you to understand more about what it means to walk with God, having a relationship with God.
Oh, yes.
That's the primary aim of it all.
Hmm.
Everything else falls away at the end of the day. And so if we don't do that,
Mhm.
we're going to find ourselves a little bit lost at the end.
True. True. Yeah.
So the aim of the gospel and the aim of the Christian message is to get
Mm.
humanity back to God and into a working relationship with God.
Hmm. Now, before I touch the 30 year of worship,
Sure.
I want you, in your own ways, to define worship, because we're going to be covering this whole 30 years of worship. But now I want us to speak about just this word worship, what it means.
Worship is intimacy with God.
Mm-hmm.
It's on a human level, it's that intimate relationship that you have with another human being.
Mm.
I'm not talking about your chomi, but that
Yes.
significant other,
Mm.
that intimate relationship that you have with that other human being.
Mhm.
Um, one preacher talks about uh, those late night phone calls that you have with your significant other when you're still
Yes.
dating. and
Yes.
somewhere along the line the
Mm.
conversation rises up, but you don't put the phone down.
Yes. Still continue.
Yeah, and you're daring each other. You
Mm.
put the phone down. No, you
Yes.
put the
No.
phone down. And what is that all about? It's
Yeah.
really just wanting to
To
connect
connect.
with the other person.
Mm.
That's what worship is meant to be. Worship
Yeah.
is about connecting with your creator.
Mm.
Worship is about being intimate with your creator. It's about having intimacy with God
Mm.
more than anything else. So everything that we use to create the atmosphere of worship is meant to lead us into that place of intimacy. And that's what it's all about. It's about having that connection with God.
Indeed.
And for me personally, I remember back on one or two occasions
Mhm.
where I had that intimate moment with God.
Mhm.
And it wasn't in church, sad to say.
Wow.
It was private. It was just me and
Mm.
God, just us alone.
Yes.
And so everything that we do, from the church experience
Mm.
to the music experience, is ultimately meant to lead us into that intimate moment
Indeed.
where I feel God,
Mm.
I sense God. I don't necessarily come to God because I need something,
Mm.
but I come to Him because I want to be
I
with Him.
want to.
I want to be
Yes.
in the moment with Him.
Mm.
Simple, just as much as we have those intimate human moments.
Yes.
The reality is we can have an intimate divine moment as well.
Yes.
And that's
Mm.
really what it's all about. Everything that we do is
Mhm.
meant to bring us into that place
Mm.
of having an intimate divine moment with God,
Wow.
which becomes inexplicable.
Mhm.
Um, and I suppose when you are really in love, it doesn't make sense either.
Yes. True.
when you have your human moment, your intimate human moment,
Mhm.
a lot of times, people will say, "What do you see in him?
True. Yeah.
What do you see in her?"
Yeah.
I don't need to explain it.
It's
It
something.
works for me.
Yeah.
The chemistry is there.
Mm.
It works for me. And with God, it's the same.
Mhm.
There comes a moment when you really experience God,
Mhm.
that your worship becomes just about you and Him,
Indeed.
not about the external stuff, but it
Mm.
becomes about you and Him. And that's really what worship is all about: intimacy with God.
Intimacy with God.
Yeah.
Amazing. So now please take me through the 30 years of worship music festival. 30 years. How did it start?
Okay. So here we are, as South Africa, as a nation.
Yes.
30 years
Celebrating
ago,
30 years. Yeah.
30 years ago, we got our democracy.
Mm.
To the last 3 decades, a lot of people will say,
Mhm.
I know I've got a few friends that say, it's not so bad. So
Yes.
we've had our ups and downs, we've had our challenges, and we could spend days unpacking the challenges.
Mhm.
But through it all, I think the one thing that we want to emphasize as Radio Pulpit as well is the fact that God has carried us as a nation.
Mm.
When you compare our last 30 years with other African countries
Mm.
and other third world countries that came out of colonialism,
Mhm.
their situation was a whole lot worse than
Yeah.
ours. If you look at our neighbors around us,
Mm.
Angola, Mozambique,
Yes.
further up into Central Africa, um, the moment colonialism came to an end, those countries just went south, unfortunately.
Mhm.
We were blessed. We didn't have that negative experience.
Mhm.
God has kept us.
True.
We're still living in our homes.
Yeah.
We have bought better homes, some of us.
Oh, yes.
Some of us has moved out of the environment where we grew up in. We've had opportunities.
Mm.
We can do better. Yeah, we no doubt
Of
about that.
course.
But we have done better than most
Mhm.
on a global scale. And that's because of God's grace and God's mercy.
Indeed.
And so why 30 years of worship? It's just simply for us to stop and thank our Creator and say, God, thank you.
Mm.
You have carried us. You have made the impossible possible.
Mhm.
We've still got a long way to go.
True.
but by your grace and by your mercy, we have been sustained. And so 30 years of worship is just to bring the children of God together to say thank you, God, and just to celebrate God. The aim is not to celebrate necessarily any entity other than God, the one who created us and the one that sustained us and the one whose grace and mercy continues to carry us day by day.
So I want to know that when you first started it, how was it, the turnout of it, of the event?
Well, initially we wanted to we were looking at hosting a music event.
Yeah.
As Radio Pulpit, we have never really done anything on this scale. We've done smaller events, but we thought this is a good opportunity. It's 30 years of democracy. Let's celebrate 30 years of worship.
Yes.
We've managed to get a hold of Israel Houghton, a new breed. And
Wow.
we've managed to negotiate for them to come and be the main artist at the event. And then we've reached out to all of our number of local artists,
Yes.
Dr. Rebecca Malope, Soli Mashlangu, the Soweto Spiritual Singers. And those will be the local lineup for the Gauteng leg of the event, which is on the 28th of September at the Sunbed Arena.
Oh, yeah.
In Cape Town, we thought let's create a Cape Town experience.
Yeah.
And so in Cape Town, we managed to put together a group of local artists that's based in Cape Town. Lusanda Beja,
Wow.
Jonathan Rubain, Veronica Meyer, Cameron Ward, and Elvira Sandili, just to create a local flavor. So the idea is to try and make it local as well. As they say, local is lekker. So the idea was to try and capture the local essence and give both Gauteng and Western Cape a local experience along with Israel and New Breed.
Okay. So in this whole event, there's a team. So I want you to let me know, please tell me your team and also your role in this whole event.
Right. So as the chairman, it's not traditional for the chairman to do this kind of thing.
Yes.
But I felt that I wanted to be a part of this whole experience. True. And so I kind of took it upon myself, something that I don't think it was a wise decision at the time, because I didn't realize how much work goes into organizing this kind of event. And so I took the prerogative of being the project leader for the project. And then I brought along a good friend of mine, Makawe Katide, who's a well-known TV personality. Grew up in a pastor's home, Pastor Agrippa Katide, well-known pastor in the community. So his son, Makawe, came alongside me. And then we've just opted to get a hold of consultants. And also just to create opportunities for others as well, for entrepreneurs as well, to come alongside us and to assist us. The venues have been very gracious. Sunbed in Pretoria and Grand Arena, Grand West in Cape Town, in that they have a lot of service providers, which made it much easier for us. So I didn't have to go and look for a lighting person. I didn't have to go and look for sound. I didn't have to go look for it. Everything is there. So that made it easier for us. So our team is very small, but the supporting service providers come through the venues. And so that made it easier for us. So our focus was really just on the musicians and the artists and getting the show on the road, as it were.
Oh, yeah.
Everything else, all the supporting stuff, created or rather given to us or supplied to us, not given to us.
Exactly. So what's the role of KSP? I think it's Khaya Sibanyoni Productions.
So Khaya is assisting us with the promotion of the event. So Khaya came in on the marketing side of it. So Khaya Sibanyoni and his team is assisting us with the marketing of the event And so that's what we opted to do, is to try and work with young entrepreneurs and also
Yes.
give an opportunity as well. I came to realize my first time that I really got involved in spearheading an event like this, that there's a lot of people out there that just need an opportunity.
True.
And so the idea was to try and reach out to some of these young entrepreneurs and also create some opportunities for them as well.
Yeah. You spoke about how difficult it is to organize an event, and you've noticed how, you need to plan accordingly. So, how have the challenges, taught you to say, you know what, I need to do this better and all that?
Well, our financial manager said to me in the beginning when we started out the project, this is going to be a major learning curve. You're going to school again. Well,
True.
I didn't realize the truth of that statement at the time.
Yeah.
But I think both Makawe and myself
Mhm.
can testify that we've been to school. Would
And
you?
it's not easy. It's like
It's
you're
not
sitting in a
easy.
classroom.
I'm telling you. And so I think I can write the thesis on event
Yeah.
management. It's been a lot
Yeah.
of stress, a lot of sleepless nights,
Mm,
a lot of pain, blood, sweat, and
true.
tears, literal blood, sweat, and tears as well. I think we've just been talking about it earlier on as well. Uh, we've had a lot of challenges. I'm not one of those that would like to advertise the battles and and the demonic attacks and all of that.
Yes.
But sadly, we've experienced a lot of that
Yeah,
during
challenges
this.
are there.
We've experienced a lot of challenges,
Mm,
and so it's been a major learning curve for us.
mhm.
And I think coming out of this, there's a lot of things we'll do differently.
Yes.
But it's been challenging. I landed up in hospital.
Oh,
Uh,
man.
we just went down to Cape Town in July and to go and meet up with the Grand West people. And I didn't make it back home immediately. I landed up in
Oh.
ICU for 5 days.
Is it the whole stress or what's going on?
It's been the stress, and it's just taken its toll
Oh,
on our bodies.
yeah.
But we thank God for the opportunity.
Indeed.
It's been a major learning curve, and we're grateful for the learning. Um, we'll certainly do things differently next time round.
So if you had to advise someone who wants to, organize an event, you would say what?
Sit down and make sure you plan before you
Yes.
execute. We didn't know. We learned. We had to learn to identify a lot of service providers, etc., etc., etc. And I think those are the kind of challenges that. So I think for us, we ran before we walked, and I think we should have walked a little bit slower first.
Yes.
Some people said that we walked too slow. We should have started earlier. But
Yeah.
by the grace of God, we learned, and here we are.
Look at it. And it's
And
going to happen. That's how it is.
It's
By
going to
faith.
happen. It's going to happen by faith and by force.
Indeed. Rev, you spoke of an international artist. We've been seeing a lot of international artists coming in our country and all. How easy or is it difficult to get them to come here?
Hey, Dawning Experience is sponsored by Dreamstream. If you'd like to support us directly and gain ad-free version of our episodes, click on the link below.
I think it's challenging. I wouldn't say it's difficult, but it is challenging. I think there's a number of things that we need to take into consideration. South Africa, for all intents and purposes, remain a third world country. Not third world in terms of our infrastructure, but third world in terms of the economy.
Yes.
And so those economics makes it challenging for us. The exchange rates that we're dealing with, it's a challenge for us. You're dealing effectively with, if you look at the dollar rand exchange, you're dealing with an exchange rate of effectively 18 to 1. So it's not a cheap thing.
Oh.
It's costly.
Yeah.
And I think for most people, that in itself is a challenge. Sponsorships is not easy to get. People are not that keen on investing in religious events, much less Christian events.
Yes.
and a lot of sponsors, unfortunately, fail to see the benefits of investing in these events. And the benefits is numerous.
Yes.
There's a lot of good that comes out of these type of events. For us as a ministry, it's not just a once-off thing. There's a lot of stuff that we do beyond this event. And so the funding that comes out of this event would offset the funding of other outreach events, not necessarily preaching events, but orphanages that can be supported, rehabs that can be supported, schools that can be supported. And those are the things that we do generally anyway. But being capacitated financially enables us to do more. And those are the benefits that I think sometimes gets missed in translation when it comes to sponsors.
Yes.
And unfortunately, religion has gotten a bad rap as well.
True.
People don't appreciate religion for its value. We tend to focus on the negative more than what we do on the positive. And there's a lot of positive spin-offs.
Yes.
We don't all wear Gucci.
You know?
We don't all drive the GLs and the brands and all of that.
Yes.
There's a lot of us that do a lot of good work. And we don't publicize that, unfortunately.
Yes.
And we do it we intentionally don't publicize it. But that's the positive spin-offs that comes from sponsoring and funding events of this nature.
Yeah.
But the lack of sponsorships often makes it very difficult for people to embark on launching and having and hosting events of this nature. And I really would want to, in general, just invite sponsors to consider these type of events. And do ask for the backstory, what happens beyond the event.
Yes.
Some of us are happy to take you to where we are.
Exactly.
And show you what happens beyond this type of event as well. So it's not just about worship for the moment. It's about worshiping God in action as well, in being an extension of God's hands and feet to the less privileged as well.
Wow. Rev, there's been this I don't want to say it's a trend, but I've been seeing people complaining about gospel or Christian events, that let's say you found this certain venue, and at that certain venue, the venue sells alcohol, and this is a Christian concert. So with you, do you have that, the discipline, the rules that are supposed to be there, that guys, this is what we want. Yes, you've offered us this venue, but please observe this. Because people now, you find that they are drunk and it's a gospel concert.
That's a difficult one.
Yeah.
It's a difficult one because unfortunately, we don't have big enough, well-equipped religious venues. Let me put it that way. In this area where your studio is located, we used to have the Coca-Cola Dome, which seated 16,000 people. That doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So we don't have venues. The biggest venue in this area at the moment is Rhema Bible Church. But Rhema is not geared up to be able to host the event. So a venue like Rhema requires additional equipment to be brought in.
True.
And expertise and others to be brought in. So unfortunately, the most well-equipped venues for events of this nature are secular venues. So you have your casinos, the Carnival Casino on the East Rand, the Empress next to the airport, the Sunbet Arena now in Pretoria. And these are all secular venues,
Yes.
unfortunately. And so who comes to the venues? Everyone.
Everyone, yes.
And so everyone comes, and not everyone that confesses to be a Christian. South Africa is reported to be 80% Christian according to our statistics.
Yeah.
What does that mean? It simply means that we are a member of a Christian denomination. It doesn't necessarily mean that we Bazalwan.
You know? Thank you for that.
we are just members of a Christian denomination. Yes, we believe in God. Yes, we confess Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior, but we're unfortunately not all sanctified,
Yes.
spirit-filled, teetotaling Sunday Christian worshippers. We are normal people. That's the harsh reality of what we have. And if you have a need and you have money in your pocket and you come to this
But no,
venue,
won't it
what
affect
do
the
I do?
reviews? Because people will be saying, Radio Pulpit organized an event, and this is what people were doing, drinking and all that.
Well, all I can say is Radio Pulpit's not going to sell liquor.
But here's the people will still say, because you guys organized the event, but your name will still be there trending.
I pray God it doesn't trend to that level. But the reality is, unfortunately, the venues also have terms and conditions.
Yes.
They are the best venues, and what we're really hoping for is that you have a pleasant experience, that you have a professional, world-class experience, and that's why we're taking it to those venues. We could hire a church hall. Yeah, we can do that. Not a problem. But would we be as effective? No, because there's limitations. Again, as I said, if you compare Rhema, for argument's sake, with the dome, the dome seats 16,000, Rhema seats 7,000. So in terms of the numbers, you're going to be very limited. And then, as I said, there'll be significant additional cost to the church venue as well. We want you to have a pleasant experience. We want you to have good sound. We want you to have proper seating. Yes. Proper security.
And not complain.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I do realize that is a bit of a challenge. The alcohol side of it is a challenge. I don't subscribe to that. Our ministry doesn't subscribe to that. We will not supply that. If it is there, unfortunately, there's very little that we can do about it. And we do upfront apologize for that.
Oh, yes. Rev, now I want you to explain to, anyone who's going to be watching this, that what is it that they're going to expect, they can expect on this festival. You've got a mic that's over there.
Thank you so much, Shami. What we anticipate is that you will experience the beauty of our local gospel talent. Dr. Rebecca Malope is also celebrating 30 years in the industry as well. And so we are so excited that we could bring a legend of her stature to come and help us enter into that space of worship. Solly Mashlangu, well known. And then obviously Israel Houghton.
Indeed.
Israel Houghton, his music has been used by many of us for many, many years, even in our churches as well. He has made one of our well-known hymns, Alpha and Omega. Yes. He's made that a very popular song. He's done it. He's done it justice in his rendition of it. Many of his other songs has been stuff that we have worshipped with. We've used it to worship along. And so our hope is that we will have a worship experience, that those who come will have a worship experience, not just be entertained, but would have a true worship experience. The same for the Cape Town lineup as well. Jonathan Rubain, very well known in his community, a worshipper of note. And again, the idea is not necessarily to entertain, but to ensure that those who come, that they would have a pure worship experience.
Can you give us the dates and also the tickets? Are there tickets?
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. So the dates is the weekend of the 28th and the 29th of September. So Saturday, the 28th of September would be at the Sunbet Arena in Pretoria, in Menlyn, Pretoria. And the 29th would be at the Grand Arena, at the Grand West Casino, unfortunately.
It's how you said casino.
In Cape Town.
Yes.
And the tickets are available at the moment
Mhm.
through Ticket Pro.
Mhm.
Starts off from 499 Rand a ticket.
Mhm.
And then obviously for those who want a more luxurious experience, there are those VIP tickets and the VVIP tickets. And there are no VIPs and VVIPs in the kingdom. We know that. But we also do realize that some
Yeah.
people like to have a little bit of an extra
Mhm.
experience to the event as well.
Mm.
You want to come and have a snack. You want to sit on more comfortable chairs. You're coming on an
Yes.
outing and you want to have an experience. And so we're
Yeah.
just making provision for those individuals also to just come and have an experience. I don't think there'll be alcohol in
There
those
won't.
venues.
You know, Rev, as you're talking about the tickets, I'm reminded of a few days ago, Lusanda Beja was reprimanding someone in a nice way, anyway. People tend to complain about the ticket sales, saying that 400 or for something is a lot. But when an international artist are coming here, they pay 1,000 rands and all. Why is it that when it's our people are complaining? I mean, they'll complain about 400 rands.
I think that is so sad and so unfortunate. And it's also, I think, because of misinformation.
Yeah.
What a lot of people don't realize is that the only income that the artists generate, that our artists, and I suppose artists in general generate,
Hmm.
is through these performances. They do not earn a salary.
Hmm.
They are not employed with at the end of the month they draw a salary.
Yes.
So this is their livelihood.
Hmm.
Unfortunately,
True.
um, this is what they believe God has called them
Mm.
to. This is their livelihood, and so they need to be reimbursed. Um, and from where I'm sitting as radio pulpit, we'd like to see that people are paid their due.
True.
So we have not engaged anyone to come and give us their service for free
Oh, yes.
or to barter with them or whatever. We're not
Mm.
negotiating with anybody. We want to make sure that those who come to share their talent with us, that they
Mhm.
are duly rewarded. It costs money,
It
unfortunately.
does. And there's a team, there's a lot of people.
There's a lot of
Huh.
people. And so, talking about a lot of people, the artists are not coming alone. They bring their
There's a
team with them.
band.
There's a
Backing
band,
vocalists.
and there's cost involved in
Mm.
that. So, whatever we pay the artists is
Mhm.
shared between them and their team. So, it's not as if Dr. Rebecca is coming and she's going to take the lion's share of whatever's being paid to her,
Yes.
and she goes off and the team goes home empty handed.
Mm.
Whatever she gets paid gets shared between her and her team.
True.
So the cost has to be covered, unfortunately.
Indeed.
It's an unfortunate situation, but that's the reality of it all.
Mhm.
And it's no different to a secular artist. Secular artists, the terms are the same. They get paid, the team get paid, and when they
Yes.
leave, we don't know when the next show is.
You know?
So they've got to live off that
Yes.
money
True.
from that time
Mm.
until the next show is.
Yes.
Hopefully, the next show would be in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But if it's not, that money has to carry
Mm.
them through. And so that's the harsh reality of it,
Yes.
unfortunately,
It
is that this is people's livelihoods.
Mm.
And so, as much as what we would like to host a worship event, we also have to make sure that people don't go home empty-handed,
Mm.
but they are able to take care of their personal needs as well.
Indeed. Wow. You know, time is not on our side. We have to wrap up. So, for people who would love to get hold of you regarding this event, how can they get hold of it? Social media or
Yeah, so all of the details
Mhm.
are available on social media. It's also available on our Radio Pulpit website.
Mhm.
It's also available on the Ticket Pro website as well. All of the details, the tickets are available through Ticket Pro as well as through Spa as well. So they can go to their local spa and they can buy the tickets from their local spa as well. But all of the other relevant information is available. So TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere you go,
Yeah.
you'll find the information
Mhm.
readily available there.
Rev, thank you so much for joining us on the Downing Experience.
Shami, thank you so
Mhm.
much for having me, and thank you so much for your assistance in helping us promote the event as well. Really and truly appreciate it,
Yes.
and pray God's blessing over you and all that you continue to do as well, you and your team.
We receive. Thank you
you.
so much. Mokhaeto, I do hope that you learned a thing or two and you are going there. You know, they need your support. Please do ensure that you attend the 30 years of Worship Music Festival. Please go get your tickets. But anyway, on Instagram, it's at Doning Experience. Do not forget YouTube, it's Doning Experience with Chami. Kalibitso, ke Chami Wakamoroke, ke Mina Noko, ke Mosebo Wadia. Thank you so much.
Radio Pulpit and I Am Youth, in partnership with One Gospel, present 30 years of Worship Music Festival. 2 days in God's presence. Taking place at Sunbed Arena on the 28th of September and Grand West Arena on the 29th of September. On the lineup, Jonathan Rubain, Cameron Ward, Soweto Spiritual Singers Lusanda Beja, Dr. Rebecca Malope, International Group, Israel and New Breed, and many more. Tickets are available for $4.99 on Ticket Pro. So get yours now. #30 Years of Worship.